make believe they live in the shade of imaginary money trees when it suits them, and point us to the financial desert when it does not. Joining us now is Republican Senator from Oklahoma, Tom Coburn, a man who I can assure you knows there is no such thing as a magic money tree. Senator, to what do you attribute the inconsistencies? And I know I'm going to pick on the Republicans. I could do just as well with the Democrats, but it's more fun because you're a Republican to ask you to talk about your own party. To what do you attribute the inconsistencies?
You can't attribute it. I think it's cowardice. The fact is the war isn't a surprise. It's not an emergency. The unemployment isn't a surprise. We've been here for over a year. It's an emergency for those who are needing the money. But the fact is we ought to pay for both of them. I actually offered amendments to pay for both of those on the debates on the Senate floor. Now, I don't know if you recall that.
No, I don't doubt that you did. Part of the reason I'm so excited to have you here is because if nothing else, you're consistent, which is not something that we tend to see from a lot of your colleagues in the Republican Party.
Well, I can give you the rationalization you would hear from the typical Republican. This bill is going to fund the troops. We tried to pay for it once. We lost. Now we're going to send it back $23 billion less than what it came from the House. Mm-hmm. $23 billion is better than, $23 billion saving that's better than nothing. But I'm a purist when it comes to spending money we don't have, that we ought to decrease something else that's less important in our government. And so they didn't get my vote. They haven't had my vote for 4 years on supplemental for the war because it's not an emergency. We know it's there.
Yeah. Is there an opportunity for the Republican Party to get consistent on this and actually make political strides as a result?
Sure. And that's, if you look at Chris Christie in New Jersey, what he's doing is he's absolutely consistent with what he's telling the people of New Jersey. And I think that's the message we have to be. And I can tell you there were a large number of us that are consistent on that issue. We have some that aren't. If you look at the supplemental and its vote that passed the Senate, I believe that there were the vast majority of Republicans did not vote to send that bill out. The majority of Republicans voted to pay for it.
Is there an opportunity to really enjoin a spirited debate with Republican leadership to force them more in the direction of somebody like yourself, or for that matter, Chris Christie, on the issue of consistency, and as a result, lending more credibility to somebody like yourself and others when you say, no, we need the offset? Because quite honestly, you don't have that much credibility as a community when you say, we need the offset here, when just last week you approved something else with a magic money tree.
Dylan, I agree with you. I've been fighting this fight for 5.5 years. We're moving. When I first came to the Senate, I'd get 6 or 7 votes on paying for things. What I want it to be is conviction of doing the best long-term thing for the country. And we're not right now. We didn't when we passed that war supplemental bill. We didn't when we passed the unemployment bill. We didn't do the best right thing. The best right thing would have been to eliminate much lower priority, wasteful program, which I can show you 300 billion of them per year that we could eliminate to pay for these things and not borrow from our kids. So in the matter of since February 12th, since we put PAYGO in, we will have spent almost $300 billion of money we didn't have, that we said we weren't going to do this. And then we erased the rule and said, oh yeah, time out, that's too hard. We have to do it the other way. And is that fair to the people that follow us? Is it honest with the constituencies that we have today? I don't think it is. And so my hope would be after November, new Democrats and new Republicans alike have got the message. I understand what's going on in America today. I get it. When they're sitting at their dinner table and they're having to make tough choices, they're wondering why Washington isn't making the same tough choices.
To that end, and part of the reason I think, and you and I would agree on this, why Washington is not making some of those tough choices is because it's scary for them, and because the American people don't actually fully understand what you understand, or what, for that matter, even somebody like myself understands because of the journalism that I do. Well, and you're trying to solve that with this earmark legislation, where at least you give us more information about what's being spent on what by who. How is that going?
Well, it passed out of the committee today. We had 5 votes against it and 11 for. We will eventually get there. It's a transparency bill that the president called for. It's on all earmark requests. The American people, we're at 11% approval rating as far as Congress is concerned. The only way that's built up is for us to shine sunshine all over this place. And the question I wrestle with, and I want to ask every member of Congress, what are you here for if it's not to do the best long-term thing for the country? So what if you lose your seat? So what if you don't win? The country's better off if we look in the long term to do the best right thing. Now, that doesn't mean we can't have debate over what is the best right thing, but when we're always chiseling, we're always rationalizing, we're always doing it in a way that protects us, we're hurting the country. And we need a whole new class of leadership in this country that says, I'm willing to lose my seat. I'm willing to do what I think is the best long-term thing for the country. It is not the best long-term thing for the country for us to be spending money that we don't have when we're wasting $300 billion a year, every year in Washington.
Hear, hear.
It's not good for a liberal or a conservative. It's not good for, no matter what you are, it's not good for you and your kids. We need leadership that changes that.
Am I allowed to say amen? Thank you, Senator. Again, we appreciate the opportunity to have the dialogue that we do with you. We congratulate you on advancing the Earmark Transparency legislation. Please keep us posted on that.
Will do. Thanks.
Right.
Good to see you, Dylan.
You too, Senator. Thank you. Still ahead here on the DR Show. California nightmare. Residents in one cash-strapped town find out their public officials are milking them for all they're worth. You probably